is Tempestt Downing, and I directed the show you are about to see, which is called Fear Me Dear. It is mostly based on actual history, so I hope you find that interesting. And we all worked really, really hard on this for ever, so I hope you enjoy. Woo!
Oh, Mary, how I long to tear you apart. I'm afraid that if I see you now, I won't be able to help myself. I have to be the very best for you. And this kill was only mediocre. I'm going to kill you so much better. God, look at all this blood. Isn't it nice? It's so warm when it's still pouring out of her throat. Mary Ann Nichols. She was so much plainer before I decided to do some work on her. And now, why, she's almost as pretty as you, Mary. Are you inclined to dance with me, Miss Nichols? I suppose I'm going to have to teach you a thing or two. Let's show her how well I'm doing without her. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Pick up your feet, pathetic whites! 1, 2, 3. Step, step, and twirl! Get back on your feet, woman. We are quite the audience.
Mary Ann Nichols, commonly known as Polly, born August 26, 1845, deceased August 31st, 1888. Her death is attributed to the notorious killer recently named Jack the Ripper. Last seen at the corner of Osborne Street and Whitechapel Road. Her body was found near Bucks Row, Whitechapel, at 3:40 this morning. Her throat had been slit twice, and incisions were made across her abdomen. The incisions on her throat completely severed all the tissues down to the vertebrae. 5 of her teeth were missing, and there was a slight laceration of the tongue. There was a bruise running along the lower part of her jaw on the right side of her face, which could have been caused by a blow from a fist or the pressure of fingers. All the incisions were supposed to have been made by the same instrument. The honest belief is that the weapon could have been made by a long-bladed, moderately sharp knife used by a left-handed person, for all of the incisions were done from left to right. Due to the recent outbursts of murders in the Whitechapel area, I, Frederick Aberline, have been placed in the area due to my extensive knowledge of this part of town. I shouldn't let myself worry too much, but it's my first week on the job. Yet again, a prostitute has just been murdered in the town. I should probably see what Inspector Walter Dew has to say about it.
Inspector Aberline, how do you do?
Fine, thank you. Do you know anything about the latest Ripper case? Please, take a seat.
Last I hear, the yard is believed this January last. Any medical knowledge whatsoever due to how the murder weapon was used. The cuts were ragged, severed several vital organs, but all of them were present.
We're not even sure what the murder weapon is yet. The fact that the murder has no medical knowledge doesn't speed things up at all. We can assume that the weapon is a knife, but we have no clue what caliber it is.
Well, we should find a lead soon. Finding enough evidence shouldn't be too hard.
This isn't going to get any easier. This Ripper is a gruesome murderer. Excuse me.
Indeed he is.
No! 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 Let me go! Let me go!
Come on, Annie! You know you'll never be able to escape me. I have to do this. It's for the greater good. And don't you want to help your old friend out?
Why are you doing this? I've never seen you in my life. But I'm sure I can convince you to spare me this once. Just give me a chance.
Oh dear. This is quite the mess, isn't it? Have you been keeping up with the news recently?
I might have heard something.
There are murders going around, Miss Chapman. Apparently this Jack the Ripper is quite the killer.
I don't know what you want with me. You can have it. I don't know why you want me for my money. You can take it. Please just take my damn money.
Everyone, I want your money! God, you're even more pathetic than the last whore I killed.
You're the one who killed Mary. Is that what you're planning to do? Kill me?
I'm so going to enjoy killing you. I want to see what your insides look like.
I'm sorry. It's angered you. Please spare me. I have children.
I'm not going to hurt you, Annie. Eventually you'll bleed out. You'll pass out from the pain. You won't even feel most of it, depending on how quickly you lose consciousness. I'm so looking forward to killing you. I think after Polly's death, I think I'm addicted. I do rather enjoy the metallic scent of blood.
That's why you're doing this? Because you like
Shut up! I'm doing this because Mary deserved the best. Because when you're in love, nothing less will do. Of course, you wouldn't understand. Prostitutes only do it for money.
We have to do it to survive. We can't really afford being in love.
Can't. How could you not afford to be in love? But you can afford to drink yourself into a coma every night. Or slip into a new dress just to impress customers. Don't tell me you can't afford to be in love. It only costs you when you get hurt. Don't you understand, Annie? I have to do this. It's the only way I will ever find peace. Of course, you and your kind wouldn't understand. You and your friends sell themselves on the street without a thought of who you might be hurting.
Please spare me. I'm sure whatever she did, you can fix it. You don't have to hurt anyone. Please have mercy.
Jack the Ripper doesn't give mercy. He doesn't spare anyone's life. And he absolutely loves the feeling of tearing someone's insides apart. And now, I can finally have you.
Chapman, born 1841, deceased September 8, 1888, around 5:30 this morning. Found in the Whitechapel district, last seen by Miss Elizabeth Stride, with a person dressed in dark clothing. No further details were given of the person. Chapman's throat and abdomen were slit with the same weapon previously used on Nichols. Her face was swollen, the tongue protruded, swollen but not beyond the teeth, suggesting that she was strangled to death before any incisions could be made. She was disemboweled, with her intestines thrown out of her abdomen and over each of her shoulders. Another Jack the Ripper murder, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid so. These incisions, see, I believe that Jack the Ripper has some medical knowledge to slice through her reproductive organs in a single movement without severing any of the other vital organs.
We have no leads. The murderer is either a medical examiner or not. with Miss Nichols. The cuts were slothfully made with no knowledge of the position of the internal organs. With Miss Chapman, the murderer has a surgical blade and was careful about cutting out part of the uterus. We don't know the gender of the murderer or the appearance. The media suggests that it's a man, but we have nothing to go off besides the fact that the murderer was wearing dark clothing and seemed to be distraught.
Well, now that we have two victims, finding enough evidence shouldn't be too hard. We know what type of weapon he uses now.
But we don't know why he has that weapon. The fact he uses a surgical blade does help, but we don't know why he has that blade. The least we can do is find out how many people have access to that type of instrument. But I doubt that'll get us very far.
Well, I'll be speaking to Miss Stride shortly. I'll be seeing you soon, Emily. And what time did you say you saw Mrs. Chapman, ma'am?
I'd say around 5 in the morning. I'm not too sure since we were both working at the time. I didn't think anything of it since I figured she was just with a customer. We get a lot of those around here.
But Whitechapel's not really safe for workers anymore, is it? Especially around the sun nights.
Oh, I don't know. I seem to be doing just fine. All these recent murders seem to have my customers throwing handfuls of money at me. Speaking of, could I do you a service, Inspector? Sure, a strong man like yourself could keep me safe.
Oh, I'm sure there's some way we can work for you to be nice and warm. At the very least. I don't suppose I could have you all to myself.
They won't even charge you that much. Not for someone of your caliber.
Much appreciated, Miss Stride.
Certainly you aren't trying to seduce me, Inspector. That just be unprofessional.
Aren't you the one who's supposed to be seducing me?
Isn't it working?
How else could I get this close to you without seducing you? Now I have full access to your body. And I can plainly see the veins in your throat. Would you like me to put some use in your disgusting body?
What?
How long do you think it'll take the Yard to figure out that their very own Walter Dew is Jack the Ripper? How long do you think it'll take them to get here? I can hear them coming already! You were just trying to get close to me, weren't you? Well, here's your chance! Mr. Lusk, I send you half the kidney I took from the woman. I preserved it for you. As for the other half, I fried it and ate it. It was quite good. And I may send you the bloody knife. Signed! Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk!
Elizabeth Stride, born November 27, 1842. Unlike the other victims, the only incision was made across her throat.
I should have tried to stop him.
Catherine Eddowes, born 14th of April, 1842. Completely disemboweled. Her throat was slit and her face was heavily mutilated. Her intestines were drawn out to a great extent and placed over her left shoulder. A piece of about 2 feet was quite detached from the body and placed between the body and the left arm, apparently by design. The lobe and auricle of the right ear were cut obliquely through. There was a quantity of clotted blood on the pavement on the left side of her neck, shoulder, and upper part of her arm. The only means of identification was a mustard tin with coins in it, identified later by us by her sister. The only means of identification was a mustard tin. Jack the Ripper took the left kidney and part of the uterus, similar to the last victim. The letter sent to Mr. Lusk, chairman of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, contained half of Edo's kidney and her uterus.
Stride and Eddowes were killed September 30th, 1888, within an hour of each other. If only I'd stayed for the rest of the day. I should have known there would have been more murders in the area, but...
There was nothing you could have done to stop it, Inspector. Jack the Ripper's gruesome murder. Besides, we have a lead now. The perpetrator of the act is sure to have had medical knowledge. The perpetrator of the act had to have lots of knowledge on the position of the organs and a way of removing them, apparent by how carefully he disemboweled the woman. And how he didn't cause too much damage to either.
We'll find this Jack the Ripper. We will find him and we will persecute him. No questions asked.
So, do you want to get started?
Why, of course. You know, I missed you lately. I really could have used some quality time with you these past few weeks with these crazy murders and all.
You know I've missed you too, honey. Now, pay up so I know what I'm working with.
Something I need to tell you first. Something that I need you to understand that I love you before we begin.
What is it?
I'm not quite who you think I am. I'm still the same person. I've just...
Have you been seeing someone else?
No, of course not. You know I'd never do something like that to you. I just... been doing something quite immoral lately.
Tell me what's wrong. Are you in trouble?
Not at all. I'm just worried you'll take the news badly.
What news? What's going on? Please tell me.
Those women, Stride, Eddowes, Nichols.
Yes?
They were all my work.
What do you mean?
I am Jack the Ripper. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to kill you now.
You're joking. Please tell me this is a joke. This isn't funny.
Quite the contrary. Do you see this knife? It has slit the throats of so many women. And it will do a nice job to you as well.
Let go of me!
Before we begin, how about a kiss?
Don't do this!
I'm going to make sure that this knife touches every inch of your pretty skin.
Don't touch me!
I suppose if you didn't want this to happen, you wouldn't have killed that child.
You're doing this because of the baby! It's so like you to make a big fuss over nothing!
I thought even you would love me enough. I never counted on you screaming once I told you who I really was. Oh, what I'd do to you. After all, this is your fault. If you hadn't killed our child, I wouldn't have to use those other women as practice for you.
You know I did what I had to. I couldn't continue working if I had a child. I do love you, but I can't keep living like this.
I am awfully bored hearing about this job of yours. Although it is how we met, isn't it? Well, you of all people should know not to scream when I tell you not to. I loved you, you know? I put all of my love and dedication to a worthless prostitute, and this is what I get for it. For letting myself be so stupid!
I have to work. I can't have a child. Please understand this.
Mary, I love you. But you know that, right? I wouldn't have to use those other women as practice for you. I use them for practice because I want you to be destroyed to the fullest extent. That's how much of my time I think you deserve. And you know, my practice turned into a hobby. My hobby turned into something I feel I can't live without. I need to keep killing Mary. I long for the feeling of someone's life leaving their body right under me. Their soul escaping their eyes, turning them to nothing less but glass balls stuck in their pathetic skulls!
You're sick.
This really is quite sad, don't you think, Mary? Love of my life, destined for a fate worse than torture! I love you, Mary!
Kelly was killed last night by a slash to the throat and mutilations performed afterwards. They believe that the murderer had no medical knowledge whatsoever.
Adeline, do you think this is the last of the Ripper murders?
I hope so. The morgue reported that the blade was 1 inch wide and 6 inches long.
I don't know if I want to see this one. I mean, how could any murder be worse than the others?
Well, rigor mortis set in as the morgue was examining the body, indicating that the death occurred around 2 to 8 a.m.
And it's word that this is the most extensive of all the Ripper murders because he had more time to commit the atrocities in a closed room rather than on a public street. But how could that be worse? He took Edo's kidney. How is that possible?
I suppose we're about to see.
My God.
I've never seen anything like this.
Nor have I. This is unimaginable.
Oh, the smell!
With all that blood.
I had no idea to what extent he'd go to just to kill an innocent prostitute.
You don't think he'll keep killing, do you? I can't imagine any of them being worse than this.
Well, I have a feeling this was the last of the Whitechapel murders.
How could you be so sure?
Well, everything Jack the Ripper's done has led up to this one. I'm sure of it. This was his finale, his last chance to leave an impression on the rest of England. He's done his job. He's finished. I'm sure of it. Jack the Ripper won't kill again.
Love is quite the feeling. It's quick. It's violent. Love is more vulnerable than sleep. I'd like to think that in sleep you can wake up to stop the calamity from happening. But when you're in love, the calamity has already gotten to you. And I loved Mary. When I found out she was having a child, I was overjoyed. I could finally have a family. When I found out what she had done, Mary didn't let the baby survive. No, she killed my only child, and for what? A better life? I had found out what she had done. I felt all of my joy flood out of my body, breaking the dam of my sanity. She killed my family. That, I'm afraid, was her biggest mistake.